This is our fourth video for Chapter 7, Section 4, Graphing Functions. What you'll learn in this video is to graph functions using the data tables. So the function tables we created in the previous lesson, you'll use those tables in this lesson to create graphs with that information. Now remember, a coordinate plane has an x and a y axis with both positive and negative numbers. The one and only term you have to pick out from this video is linear function. When you see it, be sure to pause the video and write down the definition in your notebook. You can use data in a table to graph a function. The graph and the table both model the same function but in different ways. If you remember when we were making our function formulas or equations, I told you to be sure to be labeling them x and y. This is why you needed to do that, because remember, every coordinate plane has an x-axis and a y-axis. Now, a function is a linear function. If it's a a function is a linear function if its graph is a line. So if it wasn't a line, or if it was a curve, or if it wasn't straight, it wouldn't be a linear function. So for data in a table, you graph the data as points. If you can join the points with a line, like this one, then the relationship of the data is a linear function. The data points for a nonlinear function do not fall on a line. So if it either doesn't make a straight line, or if it's curved, or if you can hit some of the points but not all of the points, it is not a linear function. It is only a linear function if every single point falls on a straight line. Now let's look at graphing a function from a table. So say we want to graph the data in this table. Then we need to determine whether the relationship is a linear function. And remember, for it to be a linear function, once we graph our points, it has to be a straight line. So first, we're going to plot our points: -2, 1, -1, 2, 0, 3, and 1, 4. So our points: -2, +1, -1, +2, 0, +3, 1, +1, +4. So those are our 4 points. And then we're going to connect the points. They all lie on the same line, so the function is linear. Pause the video and do this quick check in your notebook. Be sure to label it as either quick checks or exercises and number it. You're going to be sure to use the table to make your points, so you're going to need either graph paper or a graphing note card to put in your notebook. So now let's look at graphing a function if they give you the function rather than giving us the points. So if we're given the function y equals x plus 3, we can plug that into a function. You can pick any values you want to create your table. So you're better off picking small amounts. Don't pick 12 and 47. Do -2, -1, 0, +1, +2. Easy calculation numbers. So if we look at our function table, so we have -2, just filling it into our equation. So our x value is our independent variable. Your independent variable goes into the equation, and it should equal your y variable. So if we replace x with -2, we get -2 plus 3, which equals out to +1. So our table becomes -2, or -2 and +1. And we do another one. Put -2 in for where x is. Or -1, I'm sorry. -1 plus 3 gives us a +2. Fill that into your table. Then doing 0, 0 plus 3, 3 stays the same, so your point values are 0 and 3. Then 1, using 1, 1 plus 3 equals 4. And 2, 2 plus 3 equals 5. So generally when you're plotting a function, you want to have at least 5 points, so really just 5 is enough. So if you do -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2, that should be able to give you a line if it's a linear function. So once we graph those points, we get -2, 1, -1, +2, 0, +3, +1, +4, and +2, 5. So that gives us our straight line that we were looking for. So it is a linear function. Pause the video and try this quick check in your notebook. You need to use the given function to create a function table and then use that table to graph your points. So again, you need graph paper or a graphing note card to complete this quick check. Now let's try using a word problem to give us a function and create our function table and then create a graph. So say a babysitter makes $7 per hour. The function would be the money she makes equals 7 times the number of hours she works. So M equals 7H shows that information. So then we're going to make a table for that function and then graph that function. So let's look at the table first. So we have hours worked is our independent variable and the money earned is our dependent variable because you can't get the money without doing the work. So if we look at 1 hour of work, and we can't do negative numbers here because you're not going to have negative hours worked. You either worked or you didn't. So we'll start with 1. 1 hour, 1 times 7 gives us 7. 2 hours, 2 times 7 gets us 14. 3 hours, 3 times 7 gets us 21. 4 hours, 4 times 7 gets us 28. Now we're going to graph those points. So those points coincide to 1, 7, 2, 14, 3, 21, and 4, 28. The hours worked, or your independent variable, is always your x, and your dependent variable is always your y. So if we look at a graph of those points, you'll see that they go up incrementally, obviously because we're multiplied up, so all of the numbers worked. So that gives us our linear function of our plotted points, so we know our calculations are correct because we got our linear function graph. Pause the video and do this quick check in your notebook. You're given the function, so again you need to create a table and then use that table to graph your function. So again, you will need either graph paper or a graphing note card to complete this quick check. Now it's time to do the check your understanding. Be sure to label it as check your understanding in your notebook, number all of your problems, and show all your work. If it asks you to create a table, be sure you create the table. If it asks you to graph, be sure that you graph all your points. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll see you tomorrow.